Start a new file by double-clicking the words New File in the top left corner. This opens the New Document Settings panel. I'm going to make a print document here that can be printed on the large format printers or the NFDs. I'm going to choose Print from the settings. Find A4 or whatever size you want to print. If I click on that, it will automatically set up all my presets on the right hand side. Check your units in millimetres. Choose your orientation. And for a one-page document, like a poster, uncheck facing pages and an empty box there. If you want more than one column to line things up with, you can adjust the columns in here. Underneath that we've got margins, bleed and slug, so we'll set these up to whatever suits your project. I'm going to go with 10 millimetres. So I'm just going to delete the first number in there and add in 10, and it will automatically change the rest. And then if I click on the blue writing for bleed and slug, that will give me another drop down there, and I'm going to add 3 millimetres in for bleed. And I'll explain this once we've set the project up and you can see what's happening. I'm just going to go to Create. So the document opens in the Essentials workspace. If this looks odd or you've got panels missing, yours doesn't look like this one, you can reset that by going up to the top menu bar and choosing Window, Workspace, Reset Essentials. This should give us a workspace that has the menu bar across the top, a toolbar on the left hand side, your document itself in the middle, and there's various panels of properties and pages and stuff on the right hand side. The document itself will have these pink borders inside the page, that's the margin, and a red border around the outside of the page, that's the bleed. The margins just help you make sure that whatever you're doing that's important doesn't get cut off the page. So if I just draw a shape, just fill it so you can see it. So anything in my shape that comes off the page completely is going to be cut off. Anything that's past the pink margin line may be cut off, so you might not see it. So all your important things have to go with inside the pink margin. The red line is the bleed. Anything where you have a block of colour or a photo or something that has to reach all the way across edge to edge of your project, or edge to edge of your document, you need to at least take up to the bleed margin, so that if you only take it part way, you'll have a white border. You need to take it all the way up and over. I'm going to set up some grids and guides to give myself some structure on my page. This helps me place things neatly. There's lots of different ways you can do this in InDesign. I'm going to go to Layout and choose Create Guides. I can choose the number of rows that I want in there and the number of columns, the gutter, which is the gap between the rows and columns, you'll see that in a moment, and in the options I want to fit these guides to the margins because I want my layout to fit within the margins rather than the page, be evenly spaced between the margins. Go to OK. You can see there I've got my grid and I've got gutters in between them, each section. I can use that to line up what I'm doing. So I'm going to start with Shape Tools. The toolbar is on the left hand side. Select the Shape tool, which is this rectangle tool here. Make sure you've selected the Shape tool and not the Frame tool, which is the one above it. The Shape tool. Click on that to select it, and then click and drag on your page. And that will drag your square out or a rectangle out. You want to keep it proportional, so a proper square, you need to hold down the Shift key at the same time. My shape's selected, and you can see it's selected because it has a blue border around it, even though there's nothing within the shape itself. I can resize it by clicking and dragging on the corner handles on the side, and I can rotate it by hovering over a corner panel. So I get the rotate icon. If you can't select the shape, go to the toolbar and choose the black arrow, the selection tool, which is V on your keyboard. You can also resize your shape and rotate it using the transform in the properties panel. If you look to the right hand side of your screen, you'll see all the values that attach to your shape. So the position, the width and the height, the angle, and you've got some options to rotate and flip as well within there. I'm going to delete this shape by making sure it's selected, pressing backspace or delete on the keyboard. If I go back to my toolbar, find the rectangle tool, if I left click and hold on that, I've got some other shapes I can take. So I've got an ellipse, which will give you a circle if you hold down Shift, or an oval if you don't. The final tool in the Shapes panel is the Polygon tool. If I double click on that panel in the toolbar, I can choose the number of sides that my polygon will have. Shapes have a fill, which is the colour or lack of colour in the centre, and a stroke, which is the line around the edge. If I go to the Appearance panel, which is in the Properties layer, I can choose to change the colour of the stroke and the fill by clicking on the tiny icon, the square icon next to the word fill. I can choose one of the colours within there, or I can choose to have no fill at all. No fill is not the same as white. So paper or white will block whatever's below it, like a white piece of paper. No fill will give you nothing on the inside. Also change the stroke in the same way by clicking and on the stroke. I can choose a colour for that, and I can up the size of weighting points of the stroke. And I can also choose what the line looks like. I'm going to delete that and just add a new ellipse, and I'm going to colour it so you can see what's happening. And I have it selected. If I hold down the Alt key on my keyboard, most keyboards next to the spacebar, ALT, hold that down, I can click and drag my shape to duplicate it. I can also use the shortcuts Command C to copy and Command V to paste, or on a Windows computer, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Select multiple objects by clicking on the first one, holding down Shift, and then clicking on the remaining objects. You can also draw a box that covers all the objects you want to select. If I select a group of shapes, the Align and Distribute menu comes up on the right hand side, and I can choose to align my shapes so they all fit together in a nice way, and I can distribute them evenly as well in there. I'll try to manipulate these as a group by shrinking them or rotating them. You'll notice that the proportion changes. With the object selected, Control G or Command G on the Mac will group them, and then you can treat them as one object. Next. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you, I'm just drawing a square and a circle. So there's my circle. I'll come back to the toolbar and make a square. I'm going to colour them in just so that you can see what is happening here. So I'm going to fill in a stroke on each. So select two shapes. I get some extra options in the menu, and one is Pathfinder down at the bottom. Now, Pathfinder is a way of adding your shapes together to build more shapes. So if I drag one on top of the other, I can select both. And then in the Pathfinder menu, I can choose different ways of combining those. So I can add them, which will add the two shapes. I can subtract one from the other. I can intersect the shape areas. I exclude the overlapped part. Or I can minus the back. So from that, there are lots of different ways of building up more complex shapes just using the Pathfinder tool. When drawing your shapes or later making your frame of your images, use the guidelines and the grids to help you make sure everything is the same size and position. The object should snap naturally to the blue lines. The green lines and the pink lines give you an idea as to how much spacing and whether the spacing is even between objects. If this isn't working for you, you may need to turn the object snap on. Go to View, Grids and Guides, and click Snap to Guides. InDesign does not save your images within the document. Create a folder to keep the assets and images in. Images and text need to be placed into a container that marks out the space. This container is called a frame. Select the Frame tool from the toolbar. The Frame tool has a rectangle with a cross on it. Click and drag to draw your frame. You can also draw an ellipse or a polygon by left-click and holding on the toolbar to choose one of the other options. To place an image, make sure the frame is selected. If it isn't, get the black arrow and click on it just to highlight it. Into File, Place. Locate your folder and locate your first image. Choose Open. You can also drag an image directly from the folder. It may look very strange when first placed. Often the images that we want to place in the document are of different proportions to the frame. You can use the frame fitting options in the Properties panel to choose how to fit the image to the frame size. The frame fitting options are towards the bottom of the Properties panel. Click on the first one, it will fill the frame proportionally. The second icon fits the content proportionally. The third icon will fit the content to the frame, and the fourth fits the frame to the content. This means that you can make your layout first and then decide how your images are going to fit within that. You can also drag the image around behind the frame or resize it to zoom in by clicking on the circle in the middle and then dragging directly, or using the handles to resize. Because printer ink colours work differently to screen colours, what you see on the screen won't match what's printed on paper. Digital printers use CMYK, where the digital images are usually RGB. It's best to set up your document in the correct format for screen or print right at the start, although it is possible to convert it later. Some specialist printers require a particular colour setting, for example textile printing. Ask the print technician if you aren't sure. To open the colour swatch panel, double-click on the fill or stroke icon for the shape. There are some ready-made colours in there for you to choose from. You can also select any of these and then click on the plus icon to create a new swatch. If I double-click on the tiny box on it, it will bring up the swatch options for that swatch. You can change the colour in there. The colour values are displayed next to the swatches, RGB or CMYK. The icon to the right will show you the colour type so that you know that you've got all print settings or all digital. Choosing the colour palette icon and then double clicking on the colour swatch will give you the colour picker tool, which gives you access to a full range of colours. Add a gradient colour to the object by choosing the gradient from the tool palette. Clicking on the tiny squares at the bottom allow you to manipulate or adjust the colours for each end of the gradient. You can also drag them to adjust how much gradient or where the gradient starts. Change the type of gradient between linear and radial. Or with the gradient tool selected in the toolbar, you can drag your new gradient line directly onto your object. The eyedropper tool allows you to choose an area of colour, select it, and add it to a different area. Select the object that is to be coloured. I've selected the yellow square. Select the eyedropper tool from the toolbar. It may be hiding under something else. If I left click on the eyedropper looking tool, I can choose the actual eyedropper tool from underneath. Click on the area of colour that you want to use. The selected area will change to this colour. You can use colour groups to organise your colour swatches. In the colour swatch panel, add a new colour group. You can create from selected swatches or selected page items. In this case, I've made my group from the blue that I've already got. Library palettes are a good way to save colour, gradient and image swatches to share with other people or use elsewhere. They can be used in most Adobe software, keeping your brand colours, fonts and logos together in a portable group. They also give us access to Adobe stock elements and images. Click on the library logo to open the palette. Drag options straight into the panel. To save your InDesign working file, go to File, Save As, name the document and choose the location to save it in. Click Save. Not all printers will accept an InDesign document. Save a high quality PDF version for printing. In the menu bar, choose File, Adobe PDF Presets, High Quality Print. Name the document, choose the location and click Save. This opens the Export menu. Ignore everything within it and click Export. Packaging is a way of collecting all your component parts into a folder for safekeeping or sharing. It only contains the images you have already used. If you haven't finished, do not delete your links folder. In the menu bar, choose File, Package. Use the default options and just click Package. It asks you to save first, that's fine, you can do that. Give it a name. Choose Save. In the package publication options, locate the save destination. And name your package folder. Select the elements you want to include. Check everything. Click Package. Your packaged folder will contain several things. In this example, I have a folder of document fonts, so any fonts that I've used within my document will have been saved into the package. That's very helpful if you've downloaded fonts from other places or used your own. I have a folder of links, so that contains all the images that I've used in my document. It doesn't contain any images I haven't used that I might want to use later on, so bear that in mind when you're saving. It contains a PDF version of my document that I can upload or print. Contains the InDesign document itself, so INDD, that's my InDesign document. And it also contains an IDML document, which is something that should open on older versions of InDesign should your current version not open it.